Are you ready for another showdown? Yes, we're back. I'm Lauren, by the way, if you're new here. We're back with another Battle of the Palettes. What are we talking about? First off, this is like one of my favorite videos to film. Basically what we're doing is we're taking two palettes and they might be, you know, for the same brand, might have a similar theme, a similar color story, or in this case, a similar name. Yes, these are the two palettes we're talking about. The first one is the Sun and the Sea palette, and this is by Bella Beauté Bar. Bella Beauté Bar? Bella Beauté Bar, possibly? I don't know, I saw this one pop up on my Instagram and I was very curious. The other one we have is from It's Belle Cosmetics, and this is the Pixie Grove palette. So basically, what we have in common with these two palettes is they both have Belle in the name of the company. That's it. That's it. Oh, and they're kind of like mythical a little bit. This one's got a mermaid on it. This one's called Pixie Grove. So, you know, there's that. And also, these are two brands that I've never tried before at all. Now, comparing their color stories, they're not very similar at all. So it's going to be, woo, got a broken shadow. Okay. Hang on 1 sec. Let me fix this. Okay, well now we have another common factor is that they both have broken eyeshadows in them. This one did not come broken. I'm not quite sure what happened, but this is the one from Bella Beauté Bar. I'm pretty sure there's a little thingy over the Beauté. And as you can see, we've got a broken shadow. So that's the first palette that we will be talking about. The second one, the Pixie Grove palette from It's Belle Cosmetics. This one came with a broken shadow, and I have pressed it down quite a few times, and it keeps re-breaking. So I don't think it's long for this world. But already it's, you know, putting the palettes on a pretty even foot, if you will. I'm trying to clean it up a little bit. There's just shimmer all over the place because of this. Okay, so this is the Pixie Grove palette. Definitely a beautiful palette, but we don't know what it looks like on the eyes. We don't know anything about these brands at all. Nothing. I just know that they keep getting advertised to me and they have very similar names. And I was very confused by that. I was like, are these the same? Are these different? Why do they both have Belle in them? Why is that a thing? I don't know, but let's find out. We're gonna do one palette on one eye, the other palette on the other eye, and then we're gonna talk about which palette is gonna come out the winner. So let's get into it. Okay, I've gone ahead and primed this eye with my Kaleidos Tone Activator Primer. No, we're not going to do swatches or anything like that because, you know, we just want to see how it performs on the eye, right? But we are going to start with going into the Bella Beauté Bar, the Sun and the Sea palette, which just really caught my attention. I liked how it looked. I'm not really liking how the shadow's looking. I really hope it doesn't pop out. I think I'm going to need to remove it from the palette, though, at some point because it is very broken. It is in pieces. It does not want to be here anymore. This is an interesting palette. I like that it has a mix of neutrals and bright colors, so I'm already liking the color story. I'm going to start by going into Sunbathe and hopefully not pick up too much of that excess glitter. We're going to go ahead and just put Sunbathe on my upper eye. It's a good neutral transition color. So we'll start with a good neutral transition color. Wow, it's actually really pigmented. Okay, well, that was actually really easy to use. Okay, you guys are gonna have to tell me if you've heard of these brands, if you've tried products from these brands, because I have not heard very much about them. I know that this one was getting promoted a little bit around the internet, and that caught my attention, of course. Let's go ahead and go into Waves here. I'm gonna go ahead and just fluff that out in my outer corner, and Kitty is on my lap, helping as usual. I feel like I have done a lot of blue looks lately, and it's getting me to love blue more and more. I tend to not like blue on me as an eyeshadow very much. I don't know why. I don't love it. I was a little worried that it wasn't layering super well on top of the other color, but it looks like it's going on okay. It's getting a little muddy though. Getting a little muddy. Some colors, some brands, their formula layers really well on top of each other. Like the shadows play well with each other. Some brands just not quite the same. So it could be because it's a blue and a brown, it's gonna cause a more muddy color anyways. or it could be the formula, but either way, that blue actually went on really, really nice. I really like that. Like, that was easy. I like when the eyeshadow is easy. Okay, next, we need to check out some of these shimmer formulas. These are really, really pretty. I want to go into Siren here. And I'm going to just put that color. I think what I want to do is I want to put it kind of in my crease. I think it's a duochrome color. It's really pretty. Oh yeah, it's really pretty. It is very sparkly. Okay, I'm actually surprised. That is just really stunning. Now I kind of wish I hadn't started with the brown. Kind of wish I had started with something a little more vibrant, but we're here. It's too late. And I always like seeing how the browns perform because I wear a lot of neutral. Okay, next what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into this color Bikini, this purple. I'm gonna kind of fill out the rest of my eye with that color. Now, I'm a sucker for anything sea-themed, mermaid-themed. Like, I am pretty much there for it. So even though I hadn't heard about this brand before, I wasn't familiar with this brand, yeah, they definitely got me with the marketing. And you know, this is one of those instances where I definitely feel influenced by other influencers. Okay, this is really interesting because everything is going on very well. And I'm definitely seeing some shifts in these pigments. So we've got some duochromes, some multichromes potentially. I didn't do any research, you know, before filming this video. I've had these palettes for like a month, maybe like a month, and I've been planning to film this video and I'm finally getting around to it. But I just wanted to go in kind of blind because I didn't want to have any preconceived notion if I was gonna like these palettes. I know there's reviews out there on this palette in particular. I haven't watched it. I'm not going to. Okay, let's go into, these are both very beautiful, very sheer, looks like multichromes. So let's go into Sunkissed here. I'm gonna just put a little bit on my finger. And I'm gonna just tap it onto the purple. And it basically covers the purple up, but it gives it just this really pretty, pretty color. Okay, Ritzy says hi. Okay, I think I'm just going to go into, I think I'm going with the purple. Okay, let's go back into Bikini there. Okay, we do have some fallout. It doesn't surprise me, especially when working with like really shifty shadows. They tend to be a little bit looser. You tend to get them all over. Okay, I think that's good. I will say, I do regret using that brown. I don't feel like the brown goes with the look at all. It was a choice and I made it. So now we're here. So hopefully it doesn't deduct points from the palette overall, but we will see. We're gonna be doing mascara and eyeliner. God, there's cat fur everywhere. After we do the other eye. So let's get into the Pixie Grove palette by It's Belle Cosmetics. So this palette is definitely much smaller than the other palette we were working with and different color story for sure. So let's go into Brushwood here. I'm gonna go ahead and put that on my upper lid. Now there's no way I'm gonna do a similar look because the colors are just too different, but we're gonna see what we can do. Okay, that's a really beautiful orange and that actually blended out beautifully. Okay, there's definitely some competition between these palettes. So next, oh God, you know I love green. Okay, let's go into Green Cabin here because I've definitely come across a few palettes where I have just so much faith in them and then the dark greens just let me down because dark green is a little bit harder to formulate. Oh no, I'm doing a Halloween look. Okay. Wow. I shouldn't have done the green with the orange, but here we are. Okay, it is December. We are living for Halloween still. Technically, I do think both these palettes came out around Halloween. Okay, I might have had them for longer than a month. Oh, we are dealing with some fallout from that green already. But that's a really pretty color and it actually blended out quite nicely, especially for a green. Again, like forest greens are tricky. I have decluttered more than one palette over their greens, okay? So next I think I wanna go into Pixie Pears in this corner. And I'm gonna put that, I think I'm gonna put that actually in my crease. I think that's what I wanna do. I do like a good murky green. Okay, next what I wanna do, I really wanna, what do I wanna do? Do we wanna just go full Halloween with this? Oh, I don't know if I'm ready for that. Let's go into Enchanted, the shimmer here. I'm gonna just put some on my finger and I'm gonna plop that in the middle of my eye. That's actually a very gorgeous cranberry color. I like that quite a bit. And then let's go into one of these kind of similar colors that we saw in the other palette, a very kind of sheer multi-chrome color. I think they're multi-chromes or duochrome. They're one of those, they're definitely shifty. So let's go into Isabella. It looks like it's got a little bit of a green shift to it. And I'm gonna just put some of that into the corner of my eye. It's interesting, the one next to it, Pixie Dust, looks like it has kind of like a pinky purple shift, which I don't feel really fits with the palette. Oh, but this one does. Interesting, very interesting. We're gonna go into Trickery. I'm just gonna put a little bit of that underneath my waterline. What's funny is that like my work looks, I never put anything under the waterline. I just do that when I'm like displaying a palette. I saw a TikTok. By the way, I'm on TikTok. It's down below in the description box if you want to follow me. I try to post different content on those two platforms, this platform and that platform. But I saw somebody who was like, I am not a waterline girly. I do not put color underneath my waterline. And I was like, yeah, but it's so much fun. And it's a great way to show off a palette. But typically I don't either. Like if I'm going into work, I typically don't. Okay, so I think that's good for that look. I am gonna go put on some eyeliner, some mascara, and then we're gonna come back here to talk about who is gonna win the Battle of the Palettes. I'm curious what you think. Who do you think is gonna win? What do you think is the better palette so far? Let me know. I'll be back. So will Kitty. We are back. We have some eyeliner, we have some mascara that has more or less pulled the look together. I'm gonna go with less because these looks are clashing so hard. So hard. They are not happy to be on the same face. Let's just put it that way. So let's talk about these two palettes. Now again, I'm trying not to hold them up too much because they each have a broken shadow. But I will say this one did not come with the broken shadow. I think somewhere along the way I might have been a little bit rough with it and I broke the shadow. But the one in the It's Belle Cosmetics palette, it did come broken and it honestly just keeps re-breaking, which makes me think I need to scoop it out of there. So yeah, we've got two very different palettes. We've got two very different looks and we have to decide which one was the better one. So first, let's talk about color story. Now, just as a reminder, this is the Bella Beauté Bar color story for the Sun and the Sea palette. I keep forgetting the names, I'm sorry. I remember Pixie Grove, but not this one. This is the color story for the Sun and the Sea. This is the color story for the Pixie Grove palette. So not similar at all. Not even a little bit, you know. These are definitely two very different color stories. So which one wins? What is my preference color story wise? Well, I'm gonna have to go with the Sun and the Sea palette. Yeah, I am. This is a color story I feel like I'd reach for more. This is a color story that doesn't really have much neutrality, if any neutrality in it. I like having a few kind of more neutral browns in a palette just to kind of even out the craziness. I also just really like the greens and the purples in here. And yeah, overall this color story is one that I would know I would reach for more. And yes, we need to take into account that this is a smaller palette, but the greens and the oranges, like I don't really wear green and orange together too often, because it's very Halloween-y. It is very fall-like. I mean, it doesn't look bad right now. I thought it would look a lot worse. It doesn't look bad at all. But it's just not really a color story that I see myself reaching for a ton. And I just am a little confused at like Pixie Dust, the one that is up here that I talked about earlier. It looks like a multi-chrome that has like a pink shift to it, and I'm not quite sure how it's gonna play with the other colors. It just doesn't seem to match very well. Well, I feel like the other one is very cohesive and very matchy. So the Sun and the Sea wins that round. Formula, let's talk about formula. Now, I was surprised. You know, again, I had no expectations going into this because I've not used either of these brands before. And I will say that the formulation for both of them was great. I didn't have any issues with any of them. No patchiness, nothing like that. But I think I'm gonna have to give it up to Pixie Grove. I think the formula on this is just absolutely amazing. Like the oranges, brushwood, it just blended out so beautifully and was such a beautiful color. Same with Green Cabin. Like I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was because again, I have a history with dark foresty greens. It's not a good one, but it was great. It was super easy to blend out. It was just easy to work with, and I ended up covering it with the rest of the shadows. You can see a little bit of it. It's still a little bit there. But everything just was very smooth, very easy to put on. All the shimmers were very easy to use as well. And yeah, I just like this formula, I think, a little bit better. Just a titch, because again, they were both very, very good. Like I didn't have issues with any of the formulas, and I was surprised by how well Waves blended out on this one. Again, talking about blue can be patchy as well. And it was really nice. So I will give it up to Pixie Grove on this one, but that was pretty close. Easeability, because I like an easy palette. I actually thought they kind of tied in this. I thought they were pretty easy to use, but I think it's gonna be easier to create a very simple look with this palette versus Pixie Grove, which again, it's got some very strong colors in there. So I don't think it's gonna be as easy and as simple to just pick up and throw on the face. So I gotta give it up to the Sun and the Sea palette again. So who won this battle of the palettes? Was it Bella Beauté Bar or was it's Belle Cosmetics? Which Belle is gonna ring today? Is that corny? That was corny, that was terrible, I'm sorry. I liked both these palettes quite a bit, I did. But I think we know what the winner is. It's the Sun and the Sea palette by Bella Beauté Bar. Mouthful. And that's just because it was so easy to use and I can see myself reusing it again and again in the future. Now, Pixie Grove is great. I actually really like this palette as well, but I just don't see myself using it nearly as much as this one. The color story is just gonna be a little harder for me to work with, but the formulation was so pretty that I know I will be reaching for it, especially those greens. I wanna use all those greens. This was just a first impression of these palettes, but yeah, shout out to the Sun and the Sea palette. I think this was the winner this time. I hope you enjoyed this video. You're gonna have to let me know down below who you thought the winner was. Which one did you think was the better palette? These looks do not go well together. I'm just gonna say that. It's a lot going on my face, a lot of colors. So I'm probably gonna take this off and put something else on. But let me know down below which palette you like best and if you've tried either of these brands before, because I am curious. I will see you all in my next video. Bye!